2016 marks a special anniversary for the Joint Standing Committee on Treaties, otherwise known as JSCOT. Established during the Howard government in 1996, JSCOT has spent the past 20 years examining treaties on behalf of the Parliament and making recommendations on how, or if, Australia should take binding treaty action. Committee Chair, the Honourable Luke Hartsuyker MP, reflects on how the work of JSCOT impacts all Australians.
Well, I think that JSCOT is a parliamentary committee that is immensely relevant to all Australians. So many areas in which the Parliament operates, it is a sphere where it perhaps affects a very narrow level of interested persons, whereas with the potential impact for treaties, with how Australians are perhaps, or their experiences overseas, or the experiences of businesses, and the ways in which Australians can interrelate with foreign nationals, there is a huge width and breadth of activity that is impacted on by the work of this committee, and it makes it a very relevant committee to all Australians.
JSCOT is one of the busiest parliamentary committees. Over the past 20 years, the committee has inquired into over 742 treaty actions and made over 157 reports to Parliament. Long-standing committee member and JSCOT Deputy Chair, the Honourable Kelvin Thompson MP, says JSCOT is a vital part of the treaty-making process.
The Australian government enters into treaties with other countries, sometimes bilateral treaties and sometimes multilateral treaties. Prior to the establishment of the Treaties Committee, there was effectively no parliamentary scrutiny of the treaties at all. It's simply an executive power and function, and the executive would carry it out. In 1996, the Howard government set up the Joint Standing Committee on Treaties. I don't think I'm doing a disservice if I say that this was driven by people on the right of politics who were concerned that the treaty-making process was being misused by Labor governments to pursue a left-wing agenda. Some of those people had a somewhat conspiratorial view of the role of the United Nations. So the idea was that there ought to be parliamentary scrutiny of these treaties. And what now happens is that when the government signs a treaty, it tables it in the Parliament, and it is then referred to the Joint Standing Committee on Treaties, who considers the treaty, presents a report about the treaty back to the Parliament and the government, who consider that report. Now, as part of that process, of course, we call for submissions. We invite the public and interested parties, stakeholders, the states to make submissions, and we also have public hearings where that's warranted, and invite people to appear as witnesses.
Over the past 20 years, treaties have become increasingly complex. Australians are more connected to the broader world through trade, education and migration. International agreements increasingly affect not only broad issues of state, but the actions and responsibilities of individual citizens. Worldwide, treaty scrutiny is reflecting this change by moving towards greater transparency and consultation. Critics of JSCOT are concerned that the scrutiny process lacks transparency due to the fact that the full text of treaties are not normally made available to the public or the committee during the negotiation stage.
In my time on the Treaties Committee, the greatest frustration for both the committee and the public alike has been the fact that we don't get to see the text of the treaties until it emerges and is signed. So this treaty negotiating process is like a train in a tunnel, and all of a sudden it emerges, and some people would say, well, the Treaties Committee and the Parliament gets it on a take it or leave it basis once it's been signed. But in the United States Congress, for example, I understand that there is access to the text of treaties while it is in draft form and while it is being negotiated, and I think there's a case for that being done here in the Australian Parliament.
Well, I think the practical reality of the text of treaties is that they are massively complex documents, and it is verging on the impractical for committee members to have a highly detailed knowledge of those texts. But what the committee does do, it offers members the opportunity to test the various issues that are part of the treaty that is being considered by the committee. It would be far too cumbersome to impose on committee members who have a broad range of other responsibilities in the Parliament an obligation to read various texts in detail. I think the current process of having a committee inquiry where the committee can examine witnesses and can test various ideas and perhaps concerns that members may have is an appropriate way to, I think, provide parliamentary scrutiny in a way that can be done in a practical time frame and a way that matches the available resources of the committee and its members.
These issues and more will be discussed at a one-day seminar event as part of the 20th anniversary celebrations. In our best interest, Treaty Scrutiny in a Connected World will bring together politicians, academics and public servants to celebrate the achievements of JSCOT and discuss the future of treaty scrutiny in Australia. To find out more, visit aph.gov.au/JSCT.